So Ria Hall, fantastic to see you again.
Yes,
It was only
likewise.
last week, yeah.
I know.
So new song out,
Yes.
Love Will Lead Us Home, exciting.
Very. It's been 2.5 years since I've released a piece of music of my own. So April 2014 I released They Come Marching, and so this is, yeah, it's been a long time coming, but I'm so stoked that it's finally here.
And you've done a version with Tikitani too.
I did. So available on it's pretty much an EP really, so available on the download is obviously the radio version, and then the Tikitani remix, which is a drum and bass version, which is super, super cool. And then there's the instrumental to the radio edit on there and the a cappella. So people can mix and do what they please with the a cappella and instrumental versions, which I think is quite handy, especially for DJs.
So what inspires you? Where does your inspiration come from in terms of creating your music?
I tend to write about, social commentary, things that are happening on a global level that affect us here in New Zealand. But to be fair, I've only composed and released 7 songs in my career. So my recording career has been going for 5 years now. I've obviously been singing a lot longer than that. I've been singing since I was a teenager. So my foray into debut album, oh my gosh, debut album, it will echo the same sentiments, so social commentary, historical events, and more up-to-date things that happen within New Zealand society.
It's quite good to be able to mix your Māori heritage in with the music as well, in a way that's really accessible to a much broader audience, yeah?
Yeah, so that's kind of my whole philosophy, is trying to bring, people that aren't so necessarily au fait with Māori culture into it, in a way that they understand and that they can grasp. I would like to hope that one day, if not now, then in the very near future, that Māori culture is considered the norm here in New Zealand, because it's something that we can all be proud of. I know personally, that Māori people, we tend to be very sheltered of our culture, and we tend to sometimes be very protective of our culture, but I think that's kind of, I think that's a good thing. We have operated at a loss, and so I think that reaction is pretty natural. But in saying that, man, I would love people to converse in te reo, just basics. That's a dream of mine in music, is to open up that door and start that conversation. We'll continue that conversation.
And I guess popular culture, that's the power of it, isn't it? Because it's not seen as we're forcing this or it's academic, it's actually living and breathing. And as you say, Māori culture is an integral part of this country's identity, and a really profound one. So yeah, it's a good thing to do.
Yeah, I think so. And it's something, like I said, it's something that we can all share and be proud of, because it's hugely apparent when you go overseas that despite the fact if you're Māori or Pākehā or whomever, if you're a Kiwi, you go overseas, you celebrate collective Kiwi culture, which includes obviously Māori culture. So you're overseas at parties in London singing Māori songs, you know what I mean? Saying Māori words in phrases, Māori slang. So it's, having travelled a lot, I have hugely noticed that. And I think that's something that we can continue here, and I don't see why we don't.
I wonder, from a Pākehā perspective, if it's a mixture of things. So some of it might be guilt, some of it might be fear of getting it wrong, but also for someone who might stand up and celebrate, as a Pākehā, celebrate Māori culture, might get slapped down by other Pākehā.
Of course, it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Yeah. It can be quite complex, but I think that if your intention is right and your intention is genuine, then everyone can read that, and I think that. I believe that will shine through and eliminate those kinds of negative vibes that you may get from either side of the fence. It's an interesting concept, it's an interesting one, and it's something that I think we should continue to talk about, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as a country we need to grow up over it.
I think so. Both sides, both sides need to, need to grow up and move forward together. And I think if we all take collective responsibility, it would serve for a much easier conversation to have.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also, it's what in a dynamic world, in a changing world, a country that is harmonious and, there's always going to be problems. But if we can actually work through them and that bicultural connection, because they talk about multicultural New Zealand, but getting that bicultural thing right
Absolutely.
first, man, that's powerful.
That's right. Well, that's the essence of New Zealand, isn't it? I mean, we look at the Treaty of Waitangi as our founding document of our nation between two cultures. If we get the biculturalism correct, I reckon everything else will flow. It'll just be a flow-on effect from that. So our multiculturalism will be able to be celebrated on a larger level because the biculturalism is taken care of. So if we get that correct, then, man, what a country to be living in. I mean, it's wonderful to be here now, but imagine if we got all that right.
Where do you see your future? Because you've done TV presenting,
yes.
You've got a little foray into acting, your theatre stuff, and music, obviously.
Yeah.
Where are you heading?
That's a good question. I kind of don't like to, I mean, people have like a 2-year, 1 year, 2 year or 5 year plan or 10-year plan. I have a plan, but not really. The future will be what it is, and I'm just busy focusing in the moment and in the now, really.
Ria Hall, fantastic to meet you again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andrew. Kia ora.